Well, finally we got our first look at Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2, and DMZ Season 2. Today we're breaking down everything you need to know about the upcoming changes and the slight content that was revealed by Infinity Ward in their studio deep dive blog post. As we go along, drop your thoughts down below, and if you're new to the channel, consider hitting the subscribe button to stay up to date with all things COD ahead of Season 2. But for now, let's jump into it. So the information can be found in the deep dive blog post from Infinity Ward, linked below if you guys want to check it out in full. But this gave us a more so top-down level at some of these changes, not necessarily specific content in way of like new maps, operators, a roadmap, and stuff like that, but instead a brief understanding of everything fundamentally that will be changing, which there's surprisingly a decent bit of. Starting with where they detailed in this blog post, let's start with some global stuff here. Firstly, one of the big things they ended up addressing was crashes and stability, stating they're going to be including more stability updates here from now until February 15th in that Season 2 launch, but also with that Season 2 launch. So if you're like me, you've been having a ton of crashing issues, fingers crossed this is something that is finally put to bed and finally figured out. Beyond that, they talked about some audio discrepancies that players have been having both on PC and somewhat in console, where they've been investigating into reports where players are having these issues, and they should have fixes on the way as well. They detailed a number of UI and UX changes and updates coming to Season 2 that should improve the overall flow of the game in menus, such things including improved navigation and organization of camos, more polished social tabs including improved channel swapping for player muting, reticle previews finally in the store and in Gunsmith, instances of recent players in menus being refreshed quicker, a new play again feature in Battle Royale, among many other things here. So that's some definitely nice changes here for the UI. It doesn't seem like they're going to be changing the entire sort of mobile focus that it seemingly has fundamentally, but it is something that should at least make it a little bit easier to navigate now for those who may have issues with it. They detailed weapon balance, which they also come back to and circle around with in the multiplayer section here a little later on in this blog post, but they detailed, of course, that they were doing some analyzing, data balancing, and that we will have tuning for Season 2 here upcoming, which is definitely needed. I mean, if you've played Warzone, it's been the same Fennec, RPK, X13, TAC-56 meta here since quite literally day one, since 3 months ago at the point of this update and when these balancing changes will come into effect. So it's gotten really boring. So it'll be nice to see how that meta is tuned, what weapons then prevail as the leading weapons in Warzone and multiplayer, but we have those on the horizon as well. But starting out for some Battle Royale specific changes, they gave a little bit more detail about that 1v1 gulag that they did announce was coming back, stating the 1v1 gulag will be returning with the launch of Season 2. With this change, players will see the return of the original Warzone overtime mechanic, the domination style flag control point in place of the jailer. So you can say goodbye to the jailer, you'll no longer have that. One of the big questions that I had in regards to how this would work in the sizing of the gulag that we have currently, would they be keeping that exact map that we have now, or would we get a new one with Season 2? They answered that, stating that they have an edited version of the existing Season 1 gulag for better 1v1 combat, but they're actively working on a dedicated 1v1 map for future seasons. So not quite at Season 2 launch, maybe Season 2 reloaded, but Season 3 and beyond for sure, it looks like we'll be seeing one dedicated for 1v1. They also detailed the ground loot and the weapons on offer in the gulag will be changing. The weapon pool will now include assault rifles, submachine guns, light machine guns as primary weapons as the circles progress, but that also shotguns that we saw in the Season 1 gulag have been removed from the rotation, while handguns are still only available as secondary weapons that you can swap to. Beyond that, for the gulag, if you win, you'll end up getting more cash granted upon returning back into the war zone, and that the gulag will now have cash as ground loot to encourage players to go around the gulag itself. So nice changes, I think, here to the gulag. The cash economy was one that was adjusted as well, kind of piggybacking off that talk about cash in the gulag, where they stated that Battle Royale economy is going to see a slight reduction to cash rewards for completing contracts, which don't know that I necessarily agree with that one. It seems like it kind of adds less weight to contracts at that point, but they also stated they're going to be increasing the lowest value of cash piles from ground loot to 800 and from cash registers to 500. Previously, it was a $100 minimum, so you should hopefully be seeing more here on the ground and then also in those cash registers that you can loot. But they also stated that cash will no longer be found in basic and legendary supply boxes, which is definitely interesting. So we'll see how that all kind of balances out. It seems like there might be more overall just because of ground spawns and cash registers, but overall it's weird to see some of the main ways we've acquired cash in the past be changed up this drastically. But we'll see how it works out. Loot and inventory was something that was detailed as changed again in the preview earlier this week, but they expanded on it by saying that floating loot will now drop out of all of the containers in the world, similar to loot from supply boxes, negating that necessity of going into the UI and manually picking things up. But one of the bigger changes here at this is that they stated, in our continued effort to balance engagements, medium and large backpacks will no longer be available, and eliminated players will drop loot on the ground rather than the loot-filled backpacks. Every player will have the same backpack throughout the entire game, which will subsequently reduce the impact of stacking medical supplies, equipment, and kill streaks, and will continue to look for feedback and provide updates that streamline the looting experience for everyone. So on one hand, I do like that change that we will now have the sort of reduction in how many players can stack up self-revives and things like that, making the inventory a little more limited. But also, I really didn't mind the medium and large backpacks. I thought that kind of added some interesting value to looting. My thing was that you just couldn't be able to loot them off of dead players, even if they ended up having those. So taking those out altogether is going to change the dynamic of looting drastically, I think, because if you only have 5 to 6 slots for your inventory, that is a drastic cut down from the 8 to 10 that the medium to large backpacks afforded you. So loadouts have been changed in regards to how perks are made available, because Season 2 will introduce customizable perk packages, something that was previously a glitch here in Season 1 up until this point, because we only had those default, 8 perk packages or something like that. But now we'll be able to take a slightly smaller reduced pool of perks and make our own customizable perk packages from that. Primary weapons will be still available in the buy stations, but now more affordable, so maybe dropping those down to like a $2,000 price point, because I think they're $2,500 right now. But they also stated the price of loadout drop markers will be slightly reduced so that respective squad sizes can acquire their loadouts at a faster pace. But they're not taking it away from black sites, from the strongholds and the loadout events that happen dropping from the sky. Those actually will have another one introduced, now being introduced in the 1st and 5th circles of the match. Loadout drops will come in. So regaining late game may be something that's a bit more viable as well. The armor system is being changed as well, as there's no longer going to be variability in the double plates. Every player will have a 3-plate vest from the very beginning. This doesn't account for DMZ. You're still going to have that single, double, and triple plate vest in DMZ, but for Battle Royale, all players now start with 3-plate vests, and no different sizing will be available in that Battle Royale gameplay. Movement is something that will be changed, where it is stated that players will be able to bust through doors while plating up the way they were able to if they were sprinting. They also stated there's going to be a slight increase to movement while plating as well, to allow players to get to cover a little bit faster. Now, movement is not going to be reverting back to Warzone 1, so that's not what this entails, but we will be seeing some changes here with that. Buy stations will have adjustments as well in regards to additional spawn locations being added and adjusted to the existing ones. Spawns will now be static across the map, and loadout drop markers will have unlimited stock at all buy stations. But other things like your UAV and such, those don't have unlimited, or at least aren't detailed as the moment. Strongholds finally rounding out the Battle Royale aspect of things. They stated that Season 2 will bring changes to rewards that players receive from Strongholds and the Black Site completion, as well as additional adjustments to the AI damages. So we'll see how that all plays out, but it seems like we're going to be seeing at least a new refresh in the rewards and maybe making them more worthwhile to go towards, but we'll have to wait and see. DMZ in particular sees a couple of changes coming up where enemy tuning is going to be adjusted. Season 2 is introducing a number of balancing changes to adjust the types of AI spawning, the number of AI that spawn with those, and the accuracy of the AI at range, as well as much more, they state. So I'm all for that. I honestly think that the more dangerous part in DMZ for 90 to 90% of the matches that I play of DMZ are quite literally the AI. The players themselves, doesn't seem like there's a whole ton of matchmaking that is as strict as Battle Royale, as strict as multiplayer. So the more dangerous thing to me is the AI in DMZ. So I'm cool with those being toned down. Spawn points are something that's going to be adjusted here. There are quite a few that either spawn you out of the action entirely with not a whole ton of chance to loot up and get some stuff ready for that match, or that you spawn directly in a firefight. There are like 2 to 3 that I can think of that you can just look over to the left or right and just snipe somebody right off the get-go. So those are going to be adjusted as they stated. Mission difficulty is going to have some tuning as well, where they stated that it's very challenging to unlock that second insured weapon slot, which right now is completing all tier 3 missions for all 3 factions. So they state they're going to have some adjustments here to allow for that second insured slot to become available a little easier, whether that still be completing all tier 3 missions for all 3 factions, but lowering the difficulty of those challenges, or if they're going to change the criteria to maybe tier 2 missions across all 3 factions. We don't quite know, but we will see some adjustments here as well. What's interesting to me is that they have a specific section for DMZ on crashing, stating we know crashes are especially impactful in DMZ if you lose your items and contraband as a result, and they'll be addressing these crashes in a priority for Season 2 and are committed to increasing stability. So while stating to stay tuned for more specifics on this, I'm wondering if we're going to see some sort of introduction, like a consolation save point or something like that, where if your game truly does crash, maybe you don't lose all your stuff. That'd be really interesting to see how they introduce that, because I feel like there's a lot of ways you could maybe cheese that. If you're especially on console, you can just close application. On PC, it's a bit more difficult, I would say, because that's something that you can actually track that process of it just straight up crashing, but I don't know. We'll see. They stated there will be a seasonal refresh to some degree as well, with all new missions coming for Season 2, including a refresh to your current faction mission progress and inventory, with your contraband and keys getting reset. So it seems like we might have a change altogether for those that didn't complete all the challenges right now. Doesn't seem like you're going to be able to keep those, or at least the wording seems like that. So if you're looking forward to any of those rewards for tier 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 of any of the 3 factions, make sure you get on those so you don't miss out on that. Beyond that, they stated we'll have a new location for DMZ, that being, of course, likely the new Resurgence map within Warzone, but we'll have Building 21, Al Mazrah, and this. But it seems like with this refresh for the season, we'll have new missions that go across all 3 of those play spaces, rather than right now, them really all just being for Al Mazrah. Building 21 kind of an afterthought that's just there for things like maybe the weapons case rewards, but that's about it. Jumping over to the multiplayer side of things, though, they stated that audio will be worked on as well, something continuing on and piggybacking from that very first point they made. Perk balancing is something we'll see here in regards to how you earn the perks. For Season 2, they stated that they've upgraded the rate at which you earn the bonus and ultimate perks, which reduces that bonus perk cost by 50% and the ultimate perk by 25%. So you should be getting those a little bit quicker, of course, as we've detailed before here with the launch of Modern Warfare 2, that being a base time limit that you can earn those, but of course things like kills, objective captures, and assists for things like streaks, those all end up giving you bonus time to shave off of the earn rate for those bonus and ultimate perks. So of course, just play the game, you'll get those rather quickly. Weapon balancing, again, something they detailed is going to be coming. Hardcore, as announced, will be coming with Season 2 as well, but they did give us confirmation that Hardcore will be replacing Tier 1. We know those will no longer coexist now at this point. Hardcore just going to be coming in as that replacement here for that. And finally, in regards to the smaller multiplayer side of things, they detailed a little bit about the playlist, stating that Valentine's Day playlist will return. They're detailing modes coming with Season 2 in the upcoming weeks. But one thing they mentioned was 1 week per month, Infinity Ward will be creating a Twitter poll where fans can vote on what week's playlist will be coming in the upcoming rotation. So that's cool. I kind of think that it'd be nice to do that a little bit more than just once a month, but I'll take a start here at that. And of course, they detailed that ranked play will be coming and that we'll have more deep dive details on that coming towards the launch of Season 2. Now, the final things they detailed was just a sort of looking ahead feature where they detailed some more upcoming dates. We have information that next week sometime we'll be getting the information on Resurgence, that new map that we have coming to Warzone and DMZ. Then the full Season 2 announcement blog with likely a roadmap, all the details on maps, modes, weapons, operators, stuff like that. That's going to be coming on February 8th, as well as some things for patch notes leading up closer to the launch of the seasonal update as well. But for now, that's the deep dive blog post that we ended up getting here from Infinity Ward. Very insightful in regards to a lot of the changes upcoming, but looking forward to some of this stuff. A lot of things pleasantly surprised me in regards to the changes. So that said, let me know your thoughts down below. Do you guys like the changes here that are detailed out of this blog post? Or are you looking forward to next week's Resurgence reveal? Maybe the blog post on February 8th that is a full reveal of Season 2. Whatever the case, drop your thoughts below. But if you enjoyed the video, if not at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2, and anything COD related. But for now, thanks so much for watching Honest Best Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.